Going back to John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, we have his 1987 film, Prince of Darkness. After filming studio-centric films like Starman and Big Trouble in Little China, Carpenter wanted to work on an independent feature, away from the hassle of studio films. He wanted to make a horror film unique and different by focusing on science with matter, antimatter, and subatomic particles, and religion with God and the devil. These two ideas that differ in our world, but in the world of the film, they coexist. Carpenter wanted to make the audience think and not have all the answers for them while watching the film. The film itself is about a priest played by Donald Pleasance seeking out a college professor played by Victor Wong to try and stop the end of the world by stopping the anti-god from getting into our world. The way they try to do this is by getting a bunch of college students in their respective fields by trying to prove the devil exists with science. While it does sound pretty ludicrous, ungodly stupid, and cheesy, it is anything but, and it is unique and quite disturbing. Carpenter managed to find new ways of making the audience uncomfortable with strange visuals, a dark and dread-filled tone, brutal deaths, and its ambiguous nature. It's also a very layered film that refuses to give you answers and demands the viewer to think. The scares, the performances of the cast, the effects, and the music are all superb and forces the viewer to be disturbed. While it is the least favorable out of the trilogy, it is still a superb film, and one of Carpenter's more underrated films along with its successor. It is unique and very creative, and while it did get a lot of money at the box office due to the minuscule budget, it was poorly received, just like The Thing, due to many people thinking it didn't make sense and was very corny. However, it isn't either of those things. When you think about it, you can make your own ideas and theories and spin the film in any way you see fit to try and figure out the plotline and ending. While The Thing eventually found its audience, Prince of Darkness hasn't as much. Many die-hard horror fans do love the film, but it hasn't catapulted it into being one of Carpenter's more important films. See it for yourself and try to interpret its bizarreness. So, I rewatched this movie a couple months back, and I honestly didn't realize how slow it was. I watched it with a bunch of people, and they were kind of bored of it because of the slowness, which was pretty funny to me. However, I still love it. The atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. The constant and ongoing feeling of dread is brilliant. Once it says go, it is there and does not let up. The music definitely helps with this. Carpenter's music is always fantastic, even for lesser films like Santiago for Vampires and March of the Children for Village of the Damned. I like how for most of it, it's all contained in this one location, as it felt very reminiscent of the first of the Apocalypse trilogy, obviously The Thing. Maybe it was purposeful to tie it into that, maybe it was just to cut down on costs, but I loved the creepiness of the old church. Donald Pleasance is great as always, even if at times he does feel like Sam Loomis, but a priest instead of a doctor. Everyone just feels like normal, everyday people, which is kind of refreshing. The only exception is Dennis Dunn, who plays Walter. He can get a bit annoying at points, and his charm does kind of wear off a bit quickly.
Do you think he really just took off? I mean, like he was actually believing this whole business? Why is everybody looking at me that way?
Because you're being asshole-ish.
Well, it's very asshole-ish of you to say so.
Even though it is slow, it does kind of feed into the whole tone and structure of it. I feel like Carpenter wanted this to feel like a dream, as dreams and visions are featured very heavily in the film. It kind of reminds me of another film I reviewed, Phantasm, where it has a purposeful structure of feeling a bit jumpy, like a dream. I really much like that as well. Plus, this movie has fucking Alice Cooper in it. What's not to like? It's simply a movie that presents information and has you fill in the blanks. It has a clear-cut narrative, and it's not like totally weird and out there like an Alejandro Jodorowsky film where you really got to think about what you're watching and that kind of thing. It's there, but there's still some questions that you got to look for a bit, you know? I do prefer In the Mouth of Madness and The Thing, for the latter, obviously, but this is still a worthwhile film and a bit of an underrated feature from Carpenter, as I mentioned before. Even after all these years, I still highly recommend it.